Nelson Mandela's warning for a world on fire. Have you ever wondered why racism, inequality, and wars still dominate the headlines, even after all the lessons history has given us? Maybe you've felt the weight of injustice in your own life, or perhaps you've questioned if forgiveness and unity are even possible in times of such division. This video is not just about Nelson Mandela as a figure of the past. It is about why his legacy matters more than ever in today's world. By the end of this journey, you will understand how his courage, resilience, and wisdom can guide us through the struggles we face now, whether it's racial discrimination, social inequality, or the conflict tearing nations apart. But also a mirror for all of us, a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope can light the way forward. I often ask myself, why does Mandela's story still burn so brightly in the hearts of millions? When I share this story, my goal is not just to recall history, but to stir something deep inside you. I want you to feel the same spark that Mandela ignited in his people, the belief that change is possible, even when the odds are stacked against you. Whether you are battling personal doubts, systemic injustice, or simply searching for meaning in a world full of noise, Mandela's story speaks directly to you. The audience, I imagine, is diverse. Young people seeking purpose, adults disillusioned with politics, and elders who still believe in the power of unity. To all of you, the message is the same. Mandela's voice echoes across time because it tells us we are stronger than hate, stronger than fear, stronger than division. My tone here must be emotional, inspiring, and urgent. Not a lecture, but a conversation with your heart. Because the truth is, Mandela matters now more than ever. And through his life, you will discover that the tools to heal our fractured world are already within our reach. Picture a land where the color of your skin dictated every aspect of your life. Where you could live, where you could work, who you could marry, even where you could walk. That was South Africa under apartheid. For the black majority, daily life was humiliation and limitation, while a small white minority lived in privilege, protected by the full force of the law. It was in this suffocating environment that Nelson Mandela grew up. He was not born into power or wealth. He was born into a world that told him he was lesser, undeserving of the opportunities freely given to others. Imagine being told from the very beginning that your future was already written against you. As a young man, Mandela studied law, not for prestige, but to fight these very injustices. He saw the courts being used as weapons against his people, and he chose to stand in those same courts as a defender of freedom. His setting was not just a physical South Africa. It was a world stage divided by race, prejudice, and inequality. And if you think about it, does that reality sound so far from today? Across the globe, people are still denied rights because of the color of their skin, their gender, or their beliefs. Families are still torn apart by systems designed to favor some and silence others. Mandela's starting point is uncomfortably familiar, and that is why his story continues to matter. It forces us to look at our own societies and ask, are we any closer to justice than he was when he began? But every great story has a conflict, and for Mandela, it was monumental. The apartheid regime was not just a set of laws, it was an entire machinery of oppression. Police, courts, prisons, and politics all worked together to crush any attempt at resistance, and Mandela found himself directly in their crosshairs. He was arrested, tried, and eventually sentenced to life imprisonment. 27 years locked away on Robben Island, a place designed to break men's bodies and spirits. Can you imagine losing almost 3 decades of your life? Missing your children growing up, your loved ones dying, the world outside changing without you? That was Mandela's daily reality. Yet the obstacle was not only external. Inside himself, Mandela wrestled with anger, with the temptation of hatred. How do you keep your heart from hardening when every day you are reminded of injustice? His greatest struggle was not to destroy the enemy, but to preserve his own humanity. And isn't that the same challenge we all face in times of pain? When someone betrays us, humiliates us, or denies us, the real test is whether we allow bitterness to rule us or whether we choose a higher path. Mandela's conflict reflects the tension of our world today. We see racism still entrenched, wars still raging, inequality still growing. And we ask ourselves, how can one person, one movement, possibly overcome such entrenched power? His life answers that question, but only after years of unimaginable endurance. Despite everything, Mandela never let go of his goal, freedom and equality for his people. That vision was not just political, it was profoundly human. For a mother to know her child could attend any school, for a father to walk proudly into any workplace, for a family to live without fear of eviction or arrest because of their skin color. His desire was simple, yet revolutionary, a life where one's humanity was not negotiable. Protesters marching in the streets for racial justice, women demanding equal opportunities, communities crying out for peace instead of war, all of them share Mandela's dream in their own way. His goal was not unique to South Africa. It is the universal longing of every human being. That desire became the fire that kept him alive through the darkest years. Even when the walls of prison closed around him, he held on to the vision of a free nation. It was not a fantasy. It was his compass, pointing him toward the day when freedom would become reality. And that compass, my friend, can guide us too. In our personal struggles, in our collective challenges, Mandela's goal becomes a reminder that the fight for dignity is never wasted. Just when it seemed Mandela's dream might finally reach daylight, fresh obstacles arose. His imprisonment was not the end of his struggle. It was the beginning of new battles, both inside and outside the prison walls. While he was locked away, the world changed. Protests erupted, international pressure grew, and yet South Africa remained deeply divided. Inside the prison, Mandela faced constant attempts to break his resolve. Guards sought to humiliate him, denying him visits, censoring his letters, and enforcing endless physical labor in the limestone quarries. His body ached, his eyesight weakened. But the greatest challenge was emotional isolation. To be cut off from your people while they desperately need you, that is a wound few can endure. But beyond the walls, another conflict raged. Some of his own comrades began to lose faith in nonviolence. They demanded revenge, even blood. Mandela had to ask himself, should I encourage their anger or hold fast to the path of reconciliation? This was no easy choice. Even today, when we see injustice on our streets or on our screens, we feel the temptation to respond with rage. His challenge was to resist that pull and instead hold to a higher vision. And yet, Mandela kept the flame alive. He showed us that leadership is not proven in comfort, but in crisis. Protests outside, economic sanctions, and voices rising from every corner of the globe forced the regime to bend. In 1990, Nelson Mandela walked free. He insisted that the future of South Africa could not be built on hatred, but only on forgiveness. Victims told their stories, perpetrators confessed their crimes, and a broken nation began to heal, not through forgetting, but through the painful act of remembering together. Think about it. In a world where leaders often choose division to gain power, Mandela chose unity, even when it seemed impossible. That was his turning point. Mandela's release led him to the presidency of South Africa, but his true achievement was not the title. Under his leadership, the impossible happened. The end of apartheid, the beginning of democracy, and the chance for black and white South Africans to imagine a shared future. Mandela's leadership redefined what victory looked like. It was not about crushing the enemy, but about building a table where former enemies could sit together as human beings. Today, when I reflect on his outcome, I see the parallels everywhere. And yet, Mandela's example tells us that even the deepest wounds can begin to heal if we dare to lead with compassion. Mandela's result was more than a political triumph. It was a human triumph. Every act of courage against racism, every demand for equality, every cry for peace in a world torn by war, they are all echoes of Mandela's voice. But here is the question I want to leave with you. If you were in Mandela's place, what would you have done? Would you have chosen forgiveness over vengeance? Do you believe his actions were correct? Or would you have walked a different path? Because the choices Mandela made are the same choices we face today in our families, our communities, and our nations. His legacy challenges us to rise above hatred, to see beyond division, and to believe in humanity even when it feels impossible. Now, I invite you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me, what would you have done if you were Mandela? Do you think his decisions were the right ones? And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you can join me in uncovering more stories like this, episodes of history, perhaps never told before, that still have the power to change our present.